Seniors, I am begging you to stop eating these 6 vegetables that are slowly damaging your heart. You open the pantry and reach for that can of tomatoes. Same brand, same label, same comforting routine. The color is rich, the aroma familiar, and the health halo around it makes you feel like you're making a smart choice. But tonight, I need you to pause. Really pause. Because inside that harmless-looking can, there's a quiet saboteur lurking, and its weapon is salt. Sodium, to be precise, the kind that doesn't just sit in your bloodstream, but clings to your arteries like wet cement. Here's the cold truth. You probably won't survive this mistake forever. If you're over 60, your heart's margin for error shrinks with every year, and the wrong, healthy habits, like eating canned tomatoes every other day, add up in ways you can't taste, can't feel, but oh, your heart feels them all right. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments, what city are you listening from, and what time is it there right now? Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You trudge back to the kitchen, looking at that can of tomatoes with fresh suspicion. It's hard to believe something so basic could do harm, but flip it over. The label doesn't lie. Even the no-salt added version still packs sodium when used in sauces, soups, and stews. Add a little cheese, some crackers on the side, boom! Your daily sodium limit is blown before dinner's even done. And here's the kicker. High sodium doesn't just raise your blood pressure, it turns your blood into a pressure washer. Every pump of your heart slams that excess salt against your artery walls, weakening them over time, creating tiny tears. The body scrambles to patch them with cholesterol, and just like that, atherosclerosis begins, your first slow step toward a heart attack. Now, imagine this happening daily. That tomato soup you sip so innocently in winter, that pasta sauce you slather on whole grain noodles, they're all stealth missions against your cardiovascular system, especially for seniors, because your kidneys can't flush out salt like they used to. What stayed in balance at age 40 becomes dangerous at 70. Why not just rinse the tomatoes, you ask? Cute idea. Rinsing removes some of the external sodium if you're dealing with beans or olives, but tomatoes? The salt's cooked in. It's part of the juice. You can't wash away what's already fused into the cells.
And it gets worse. Most canned tomato products contain more than just tomatoes. There's citric acid for preservation, calcium chloride to keep the texture firm, and even sugar to balance the tang. Combined, these additives turn a vegetable into a metabolic troublemaker. Here's a visual. Imagine your arteries as garden hoses. When you're young, they're clean and flexible. But each salty meal, each sodium-packed tomato stew makes the hose stiffer, narrower, more likely to crack. Eventually, it can't take the pressure anymore. That's when strokes happen, heart attacks, aneurysms. Okay, I'll just buy fresh tomatoes, you say. Yes, good thinking. Except even those can be a sneaky problem. If you sauté them with salt or use them in high-fat dishes like lasagna, you're not dodging the bullet, you're just disguising it. And don't get me started on tomato juice. One glass can have over 600 milligrams of sodium. That's like licking a salt block and calling it hydration. But I need lycopene for my heart, you protest. Sure, lycopene is great. It's an antioxidant that helps reduce inflammation and protect your cells. But here's the truth most dietitians won't tell you. You don't need canned tomatoes to get it. Watermelon, pink grapefruit, and even cooked red peppers offer lycopene without the salt bomb. And look, I'm not saying tomatoes are evil. They're not. But for seniors already managing blood pressure, cholesterol, or arrhythmia, the way tomatoes are commonly prepared turns them into a danger zone, especially if you're eating them 4 or 5 times a week. Still not convinced? Let's talk numbers. The American Heart Association recommends no more than 1,500 milligrams of sodium per day for adults over 60. 1 cup of store-bought tomato sauce can have 900 milligrams. Add a slice of garlic bread? That's another 200. Sprinkle cheese on top? Say goodbye to your daily limit and hello to stiff arteries. And don't get fooled by organic or gluten-free labels either. Those don't mean low sodium. You can have organic heart failure just as easily. So what do? Simple swaps. Instead of store-bought sauce, try blending cooked red peppers and a splash of olive oil with garlic and herbs. You get the savory warmth without the salt. Or make your own tomato sauce using fresh tomatoes and control the seasoning yourself. Pro tip, roast them first. Caramelization brings out flavor, so you won't miss the sodium. And if you're craving that deep umami flavor tomatoes offer, consider mushrooms or even a splash of balsamic vinegar. Your taste buds will adapt. Your heart will thank you. Remember, this isn't about fear. It's about awareness. You've made it this far in life. You've survived disco, dial-up internet, and that one neighbor who always mowed their lawn at 6 a.m. Don't let a can of tomatoes take you down now. You've earned better. You deserve better.
You glance over at the eggplant sitting on your counter. It's glossy, a deep, velvety purple, and shaped like a prop from a Mediterranean cooking show. Maybe you've grilled it, fried it, layered it into lasagna, or turned it into baba ganoush after watching a late-night recipe video. Eggplant has that mysterious, healthy glow, doesn't it? Exotic, low in calories, full of fiber. The kind of vegetable that makes you feel smug just for cooking with it. But don't let the color fool you. Eggplant isn't always your heart's best friend. In fact, for seniors, this seemingly innocent veggie may be quietly aggravating inflammation and increasing stress on your cardiovascular system. Yeah, I said it. That beautiful purple villain might be making your heart work overtime. Now here's the kicker. Eggplants belong to a family of vegetables called nightshades. Sounds like a bad guy in a Batman comic, right? And in a way, it kind of is. Nightshades, like tomatoes, potatoes, and bell peppers, contain a compound called solanine. This natural pesticide protects the plant from insects. Cool for the plant, not so cool for your 72-year-old joints and arteries. Solanine is sneaky. You won't taste it, you won't feel it at first, but your body reacts to it as an irritant. In small doses, your immune system shrugs it off. But over time, especially in sensitive people, and let's face it, your immune system isn't winning any championships these days, solanine can trigger a low-level inflammatory response. Think blood vessels that are slightly swollen, slightly irritated, slightly more likely to get clogged. And inflammation, my friend, is the real villain behind heart disease. Not just cholesterol, not just blood pressure. Chronic inflammation thickens your blood, hardens your artery walls, and invites plaque to take up permanent residence in places it should never be. Let's get visual again. Picture your arteries as smooth rivers flowing calmly. Now, toss in some debris, bits of sludge, maybe a rogue branch or two. That's inflammation at work. It narrows the riverbed, stirs up chaos, and slows everything down. Eggplant, especially when eaten regularly by those with sensitivities, is like a tiny rock thrown into that flow over and over again. But I don't feel inflamed, you say. Of course not. This is a slow burn. You don't wake up with flaming arteries. You wake up with slightly more stiffness, a little more fatigue. Maybe your morning walk leaves you short of breath more often than it used to. These are signs. Your body whispers before it screams. Now, to be fair, eggplant does have some health benefits. Fiber, potassium, antioxidants. But here's the part no one tells you. Most of those benefits vanish the moment you fry it, bread it, or drown it in oil and cheese, which, let's face it, is how most of us actually eat eggplant. Grilled eggplant, usually soaked in oil first. Eggplant parmesan, a sodium and cholesterol fiesta. Even that innocent-looking dip from the supermarket, packed with seed oils and hidden sugars.
Every one of those additives turns your healthy meal into a cardiovascular landmine.
And let's not forget the texture. Eggplant acts like a sponge, soaking up every drop of oil you cook it with. That oil, especially if it's the cheap, refined kind used in many store-bought dishes, oxidizes at high heat, creating trans fats and free radicals that inflame your body even further. Your heart is basically screaming, "Stop it, I'm not 25 anymore." Want to laugh? The ancient Romans used to think eggplant caused madness. They called it mala insana, mad apple. And while it probably won't drive you insane, it might be driving your blood vessels to an early retirement. Still not convinced? Let's go data mode for a second. Studies show that in some populations, especially those with autoimmune disorders or compromised heart function, regular consumption of nightshades correlates with higher markers of inflammation, such as C-reactive protein, CRP. And guess what's a big predictor of heart attacks and strokes? Ding ding, CRP. Now, am I saying you can never eat eggplant again? Of course not. But if you're over 60, have heart concerns, joint stiffness, or chronic inflammation, eggplant should not be your weeknight staple, especially if you're sensitive to nightshades, which many people are without even knowing it. Here's what you can do instead. Craving something hearty? Try zucchini or mushrooms. They roast beautifully, don't carry the inflammatory baggage, and still give you that meaty, satisfying texture. Want something with color? Red cabbage or beets offer antioxidants without the solanine hit. You can even try grilled cauliflower steaks. Add a sprinkle of turmeric, and you'll feel like a cooking channel hero. And if you must have eggplant, keep it minimal. Bake instead of fry. Use minimal oil. Skip the cheese blanket. And maybe don't eat it 3 nights a week like your cousin Larry, who swears he's basically Mediterranean now. Your heart's job is hard enough. It's been pumping away for decades without a break. Don't make it filter through nightshade-induced inflammation just because you like the color purple. Let it rest, let it heal, and let your vegetables help you, not secretly hurt you.
You hear it before you see it, the crisp snap as the lid twists off, that faint hiss as the pressure releases. Then comes the unmistakable smell, sharp, tangy, almost addictive. Pickles. They sit there in your fridge like harmless little snacks, just waiting to be speared by a fork in the middle of the night. 0 calories, the label brags. Fat-free, made from vegetables. Sounds like a dream snack, right? But if vegetables had villains, pickles would be twirling a mustache and tying your arteries to the train tracks. Let's break this down. A pickle is, at its core, a cucumber, a hydrating, crunchy, low-calorie vegetable. But once you dunk it in brine, usually made from white vinegar, salt, and sugar, it becomes a sodium bomb with the cardiovascular charm of a fried pork chop. Here's what your heart hears every time you bite into one. Incoming! A single medium dill pickle can contain over 800 milligrams of sodium. That's over half your daily limit right there, hidden in a snack you could mindlessly eat 3 or 4 of without blinking. Throw in some pickle slices on a sandwich, you're now chasing a day's worth of salt with a single meal. Now here's where it gets spicy, literally. Spicy pickles, sweet pickles, bread and butter pickles, they all come loaded with sugar. Yep, that vinegary tang might be masking teaspoons of hidden glucose, which spikes your blood sugar and inflames your arteries. It's like attacking your heart with a hammer and a torch at the same time. But vinegar is good for you, you say. Technically, yes, in tiny amounts. Apple cider vinegar, when diluted, may have mild benefits for blood sugar, but the acidic vinegar used in most pickling processes, it's industrial strength. Over time, that constant acidic barrage wears down the lining of your stomach and esophagus, irritates your kidneys, and can even affect blood pH, throwing your whole internal balance off kilter. And let's not forget the preservatives. Store-bought pickles are often packed with calcium chloride, polysorbate 80, and even artificial colorings to keep them crisp and green. Your heart doesn't care if they look pretty. It cares that these chemicals can spark inflammation, mess with gut bacteria, and put even more stress on an already aging system. Here's a visualization for you. Imagine your arteries as clear, flexible tubing. Now, imagine pouring in salty brine, acidic vinegar, and sweet syrup every other day. Slowly but surely, the tubing gets cloudy, sticky, less elastic, more prone to blockages. That's not a snack. It's sabotage with a crunch.
But I've been eating pickles my whole life, you protest. Yeah, and you also probably remember a time when doctors recommended cigarettes. Just because something's been around forever doesn't mean it's safe, especially when your body isn't 25 anymore. What you got away with back then can now push you closer to the edge. And don't think you're safe with the artisan varieties either. Those fancy jars from the farmer's market may skip the preservatives, but they often double down on salt and sugar for flavor. Plus, fermented doesn't mean friendly. If they're not made and stored properly, fermented pickles can harbor bacteria that wreak havoc on weakened immune systems. Let's say it straight. If your doctor's ever mentioned high blood pressure, kidney issues, or heart disease, then pickles are not your midnight snack. They're a minefield. Now let's talk patterns. You're not just eating one pickle, right? Maybe it's on your sandwich at lunch, in your salad at dinner, maybe you're snacking while watching a show, or grabbing one as you pass by the fridge. It's easy, it's habitual, but it's also cumulative. That sodium adds up silently, invisibly, and very, very effectively. High sodium increases your blood volume, which means your heart has to pump harder to push it through your body. And the more it works, the more tired and damaged it becomes. Still not convinced? Let's go deeper. Ever heard of endothelial dysfunction? That's when the lining of your blood vessels stops working properly. Pickle overload can contribute to that. Over time, it prevents your arteries from dilating and contracting normally. You get poor circulation, you feel colder, your legs ache, your memory fades, and yes, it directly raises your risk for heart attacks. Now, if you must have a tangy snack, I'm not here to crush your spirit. There are better options. Try raw, sliced cucumbers with lemon juice and a sprinkle of sea salt, not the mountain of it you'd find in a jar of pickles. Or whip up a quick faux pickle with vinegar and herbs, but without the brine bath. Want crunch? Carrot sticks. Want acid? Squeeze fresh lemon or lime. Want bite? Try radishes. Your heart will celebrate like it just won a spa weekend. And please don't fall for low-sodium pickles. That's like calling a donut low icing. The base product is still a problem. It's still acidic, still often sugared, still full of preservatives. And worse, you're more likely to eat more of them because you think they're safe. That's the biggest trap of all. You're at a stage of life where every bite counts. Every snack is a choice between fueling your future or feeding your decline. So next time that jar calls to you with its siren song, pause, breathe. Think about your heartbeat, your circulation, your future. Then close the fridge. You just saved your arteries a world of trouble.
Corn. Sweet, golden, and as American as fireworks on the 4th of July. You picture buttery ears lined up at a summer barbecue, maybe dotted with salt, melting into mashed potatoes or showing up uninvited in every canned soup and freezer bag you own. It feels innocent, familiar, harmless. But here's the inconvenient truth. Corn, especially the kind most seniors eat today, isn't just a side dish. It's a sugar bomb disguised as a vegetable, and it's quietly wrecking your heart's rhythm one kernel at a time. Now, before you throw your remote at the screen, hear me out. Corn in its most basic form, on the cob, steamed without butter or salt, isn't inherently evil. The problem is how it's grown, processed, and slipped into your diet under dozens of disguises. You think you're just enjoying a spoonful of corn, try a spoonful of blood sugar chaos. Let's start with the science. Corn is a starchy vegetable. And not just any starch, one that converts rapidly into glucose, spiking your blood sugar the way a candy bar would. That post-meal sleepy but wired feeling, that's your blood sugar peaking and crashing like a roller coaster at Six Flags. And every spike puts your arteries under more stress. When your blood sugar rises too quickly, your pancreas floods your system with insulin to bring it back down. Do that over and over, day after day, meal after meal, and two things happen. Your cells stop responding to insulin, hello insulin resistance, and your blood sugar remains consistently elevated. That combo is a one-way ticket to type 2 diabetes. But more urgently for tonight, it inflames your blood vessels and increases plaque buildup. In other words, it pushes your heart toward early retirement. And let's be honest, corn isn't just on the cob anymore. It's in everything. Corn syrup, corn oil, corn meal, corn starch. If your food comes in a box, bag, or bottle, odds are there's a corn-derived ingredient lurking in the fine print. And most of it, ultra-processed, stripped of fiber, micronutrients, and any trace of real vegetable integrity. Even the healthy stuff doesn't get a pass. Frozen corn blends, canned corn with added sugars, those little microwavable tubs you convince yourself are better than chips, they all flood your body with high glycemic carbohydrates that inflame your cardiovascular system. Now, you might be thinking, but I boil my corn fresh. I don't eat that processed junk. Respect. But unless it's organic and non-GMO, you're still playing nutritional roulette. Most commercial corn is genetically modified to resist pests and herbicides, and along the way, it's been bred to be sweeter. That's right, modern corn has up to 40% more sugar than its ancestors. You're essentially eating a candy vegetable. And here's the kicker. Seniors digest carbohydrates more slowly, not more efficiently. So instead of quick absorption and energy use, your blood sugar stays elevated longer. The longer it stays high, the more damage it does. Think micro-tears in artery walls, thickened blood, and inflammation that simmers quietly until your next doctor visit reveals, your A1C's gone up again. Still not worried? Let's throw belly fat into the mix. Excess sugar from corn gets stored as fat, especially visceral fat. That's the kind that pads your organs like bubble wrap, especially around the midsection. It doesn't just look bad in family photos. It secretes inflammatory compounds that affect everything from blood pressure to cholesterol balance. And what does all this do to your fart? It tightens blood vessels, makes the heart muscle work harder, and increases your risk of atrial fibrillation. That flutter you felt last week? Not just nerves, possibly corn's final encore. But what about fiber, you ask? Isn't corn a good source of fiber? Theoretically, yes. But the reality is most people don't chew their corn enough to access that fiber. And canned or frozen corn, cooked until mushy, that fiber is broken down and nearly useless by the time it hits your bloodstream. Now imagine this scenario. You eat a plate of corn at dinner, maybe add mashed potatoes and a soft roll. It's all vegetables and grains, right? But your heart doesn't see categories. It sees sugar. It sees blood thickening. It sees pressure mounting. And night after night, your cardiovascular system gets worn out like an old engine forced to drive uphill. Let's get specific with numbers. A single cup of cooked corn contains nearly 30 grams of carbohydrates, and most of that is sugar or fast-converting starch. That's about the same as a slice of cake. And yet, when you eat cake, you know you're cheating. With corn, you think you're doing your heart a favor. That's the danger. If you truly love the taste of corn, try this. Swap it for organic, non-GMO baby corn, which has far fewer carbs and less sugar. Or choose low glycemic veggies like cauliflower, broccoli, or even squash for that same comfort food vibe without sending your blood sugar into the stratosphere. And please, for the love of your arteries, skip the corn syrup. I don't care if it's in your ketchup, your barbecue sauce, or your healthy protein bar. If the ingredients list includes high fructose corn syrup, throw it in the nearest volcano. That stuff is pure metabolic napalm. A little corn once in a blue moon won't kill you, but regularly inviting it to your plate, especially alongside other high-carb foods, turns your dinner into a cardiovascular crime scene. Your heart deserves better than a vegetable that's more sugar than substance. So next time someone hands you an ear of corn at a cookout, smile, say thanks, and hand it to your cousin with the 25-year-old metabolism. Then make a plate that says, "I'm planning to be here a long, long time."
There it is, sitting crisp and clean in the produce aisle like the perfect snack. Celery. It's practically the poster child for healthy eating. 0 calories, high water content, and a satisfying crunch that makes you feel like you're doing something right. You throw it in your cart with pride. Ah, yes, my guilt-free vegetable of choice. But here's the curveball. Celery might not be doing your heart any favors. In fact, for seniors especially, it can be more of a con than a cardiovascular cure. Let's start with the obvious. Celery is mostly water, roughly 95% of it in fact. So what you're really eating is a glorified straw with a splash of fiber. That crunch, it's nature's version of a party trick. There's not much going on underneath. It fills you up for about 14 minutes, and then your stomach starts whispering, hey, what else you got? Now, sure, it has some vitamins, a little vitamin K, some potassium, nothing life-changing. But here's the kicker. If you're reaching for celery as your main vegetable, you're missing out on the nutrient-dense, heart-protective powerhouses like spinach, kale, or even roasted carrots. And over time, that gap adds up. Celery becomes a placeholder, a decoy. It looks like you're eating smart, but it's barely keeping your ticker in the game. But here's where things get darker. Pesticide residue. Yep, celery is one of the dirtiest vegetables on the market when it comes to chemical contamination. Year after year, it lands on the Environmental Working Group's Dirty Dozen list, a ranking of fruits and vegetables with the highest levels of pesticide residue after washing. Why? Because celery's structure, its long, porous stalks and shallow roots, soak up chemicals like a sponge. And these pesticides don't just rinse off under the tap. They embed deep in the fibers, meaning every crunchy bite may come with a side of synthetic toxins. And what do pesticides do in the human body? At best, they stress your liver and kidneys. At worst, they disrupt hormone balance and increase oxidative stress, two major players in chronic inflammation and heart disease. Your poor liver, already working overtime to process medications, cholesterol, and blood sugar fluctuations, now has to filter out Roundup residue because you wanted a light snack. It's like choosing celery as the designated driver and realizing it's been sipping cocktails the whole time. And let's not forget sodium. Wait, celery has sodium, you ask? Yes, friend, natural sodium. One large stalk can have up to 50 milligrams. Doesn't sound like much, right? But most seniors aren't eating celery alone. It's dipped in peanut butter, added sugar and fats, loaded into chicken salad, salt, mayo, mystery preservatives. Suddenly, that innocent stalk is part of a high-sodium meal that pushes you well over the American Heart Association's daily recommendation. And if you're already battling hypertension or taking diuretics, you don't want any extra sodium sneaking in, even from natural sources. Your blood pressure won't care if the salt came from a stalk or a shaker. It reacts the same way. You know what else celery's lacking? Anti-inflammatory power. Unlike deeply colored vegetables like beets, red cabbage, or leafy greens, celery doesn't offer the kind of polyphenols and antioxidants that actively protect your cardiovascular system. It's like bringing a water pistol to a wildfire. But I eat it because it's low-calorie, you say. Great, so is chewing ice. If you're eating celery to feel full, you're setting yourself up for failure. It doesn't satisfy hunger in a meaningful way, which often leads to snacking later on foods that actually do spike blood sugar or fat intake. And we both know the second snack is rarely baby carrots. And here's the trap. Celery gets used as a delivery system for other nutritional disasters. You rarely eat it solo. It's loaded with peanut butter, usually the kind with hydrogenated oils, dunked in ranch dressing, pure fat and sodium, or used as a garnish in Bloody Marys, which, while delicious, aren't exactly heart-healthy breakfast items. So what should you do instead? If you like the crunch, go for sliced bell peppers. Red, orange, yellow, they're packed with antioxidants, vitamin C, and actually help reduce arterial inflammation. Or try jicama. Crunchy, hydrating, low in sugar, but high in fiber and insulin, which supports gut health and may improve cholesterol levels. If you insist on eating celery, get organic. It's not perfect, but it dramatically reduces pesticide exposure. Wash it thoroughly and limit it to the occasional snack, not your daily dose of "look how healthy I am" pride.
And please, for the love of your arteries, don't fall for celery juice. That trend exploded a few years back, promising miracle detoxes. But what you're actually drinking is a potassium-heavy, sodium-laced green fluid that strips out the little fiber celery offers and floods your system with salt water. If anything, it stresses your kidneys, not saves your heart. Bottom line, your vegetable choices matter. At this stage in life, your meals should work for you, not just fill the plate with green-colored fluff. You deserve nutrients that fight inflammation, that lower blood pressure, that heal your arteries, not celery, the bland imposter hiding in plain sight. So next time someone says, "Just have some celery, it's good for you," you can smile, nod, and quietly reach for something that actually keeps your heart beating strong. Because at the end of the day, you're not here to pretend to be healthy. You're here to be healthy.
You settle into your favorite chair, maybe a blanket pulled over your lap, and there it is, your old familiar friend, the potato. Mashed and buttery, roasted and golden, fried and crispy, baked and steaming, potatoes are the ultimate comfort food. You've eaten them your whole life. Sunday roasts, holiday dinners, quiet nights in front of the TV, they've always been there, silent and starchy. But now, at this stage of the game, potatoes are no longer just food. They're a quiet threat, a stealthy saboteur, and your heart knows it. Let's pull back the curtain. Potatoes, for all their earthy charm, are one of the highest glycemic vegetables on the planet. That means the moment you take a bite, your blood sugar shoots up faster than a toddler on a trampoline. Your body scrambles to respond, flooding your bloodstream with insulin. Do this once, you'll be fine. Do this day after day, you create a storm inside your arteries that speeds up aging, thickens your blood, and turns your heart into an exhausted, overworked muscle. And no, this isn't just about fries. Even baked potatoes, yes, the ones you swear are healthy because they're not fried, can spike blood sugar levels just as quickly. A single medium baked potato has around 37 grams of carbohydrates, and most of that turns into sugar in a matter of minutes. Let me paint the picture clearly. Your arteries, which were once smooth and elastic, now have to deal with constant sugar spikes. The sugar inflames the lining of your blood vessels. The inflammation invites cholesterol to patch the damage. The cholesterol turns into plaque, and before you know it, you've built a 4-lane traffic jam inside your arteries, clogged, tight, and one wrong move away from a heart attack. But potatoes have potassium. Yes, they do, but they also come with an insulin spike so steep it wipes out any small benefit. And besides, if you're taking blood pressure meds, you're likely already getting potassium supplements, or you should be. You don't need to rely on a starchy sugar bomb to hit your micronutrient goals. Let's not forget how we typically eat potatoes. Mashed with butter, cream, and salt, fried in oxidized seed oils, smothered in cheese, bacon, or sour cream. Even healthy roasted potatoes are usually doused in oil and oversalted. Each of these add-ons isn't just extra calories. They're direct contributors to arterial stiffness, high blood pressure, and clogged vessels. And here's the sad irony. The older you get, the less forgiving your metabolism becomes. Your insulin sensitivity drops, your digestion slows, your arteries have less elasticity. That means potatoes, especially in large portions, do more damage now than they ever did when you were 40. Back then, your body bounced back. Now, every blood sugar surge lasts longer and cuts deeper.
Still holding on to your potato love? Let's talk about acrylamides. Those are cancer-causing compounds that form when starchy foods like potatoes are cooked at high temperatures. Think fries, chips, roasted wedges. They're not just bad for your heart, they're bad for everything. Nervous system, kidneys, liver, you name it. One too many servings of those golden and crispy fries, and you're slowly marinating your body in inflammatory stressors from head to toe. And I haven't even gotten to weight gain. Let's be blunt. Potatoes are dense.
not in nutrients, just in carbs. And when you're trying to keep your weight down to ease the pressure on your joints and heart, loading your plate with starch is like bringing a backpack full of bricks on a mountain hike. So what's a potato lover to do? You don't need to say goodbye to comfort. Just change where you find it. Try cauliflower mash with garlic and olive oil. It's creamy, flavorful, and won't spike your sugar. Roast butternut squash instead of russets. Looking for crispiness? Sliced zucchini or eggplant, if tolerated, can be baked until crunchy and won't attack your heart in the process. And if you must eat potatoes, shrink the portion. Balance it with a lean protein and fiber-rich vegetables. Skip the butter. Cut the salt. Roast instead of fry. But please don't make it a daily habit. Because this is where it all comes together, right? Your heart, your habits, your health. You've lived a full life. You've made your choices, taken your hits, and come out wiser on the other side. But the choices you make now, they carry more weight. Each meal is a nudge in one direction or another, toward strength or strain, toward recovery or risk. And you deserve better than a heart that has to fight its way through another starchy, salty meal just to keep beating. Let the potatoes go. Not completely, but consciously. Give your heart a meal it doesn't have to survive.
So now, as the lights soften and the air grows still, I want you to take a deep breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Let your shoulders drop, let the tension melt, and just sit with this one simple truth. Your body wants to heal. It wants to thrive. Even now, especially now. Your heart has been working without applause for decades. It's carried you through weddings and losses, long walks and quiet mornings, grandchildren's laughter and sleepless nights. And through all of it, it has asked for so little in return, just a little care, a little awareness. Tonight, you gave it that. Tonight, you learned that not every vegetable deserves a free pass, that some healthy choices are only masks for inflammation, sodium, and sugar hiding in plain sight. But more than that, you gave yourself permission to choose better, to pause, to ask questions, to make food your ally instead of your enemy.
Tomorrow you'll open your fridge and see those choices with fresh eyes. You might swap that can of tomato soup for roasted red pepper. Skip the pickle and crunch on bell peppers. Pass on the potatoes and try creamy mashed cauliflower. Each swap, each small step adds time to your story. And what a story it is. So rest now. Let your breath deepen. Let your heart feel for just a moment that it is finally being heard. You're not too old. You're not too late. You're just in time. Whisper to yourself, I deserve to feel good. Then drift off, gently and quietly, into the night.